On May 6, 1937, the world witnessed one of the worst air disasters ever at an airstrip in Lakehurst, New Jersey. On that day, the history of aviation and media would be changed forever. With several dozen newsreel reporters, photographers, and radio crew on the scene, the Hindenburg disaster marked the first time the world witnessed tragedy through film, images, and sound at the same moment.
It bursts into flames. Get it started. It's fighting, and it's rising. It's rising terrible. Oh my, get out of the way, please. It's burning and bursting into flames.
It allowed people to witness the catastrophe in a way that had never been possible before. The combinations of visual, sound, and print coverage ensured that the disaster remained etched in the public memory. Hello, this is Russell, and welcome to Anything History. In today's Caught on Film, we're going to examine the Hindenburg disaster, but a little differently. We're not going to necessarily look at how and why it happened. That's been done a lot before, and there's a ton of great videos on that. Instead, we're going to look at the stories behind this famous disaster, and how media coverage of that disaster changed history. For those unfamiliar with the Hindenburg, it was a German passenger airship designed and built by the Zeppelin Company. It was the pinnacle of luxury and air travel, reducing the transatlantic crossing from 2 weeks by boat to just 2 days. The Hindenburg was a rigid airship that used lighter-than-air gases to provide lift. The Zeppelin Company used flammable hydrogen gas in the Hindenburg due to export limitations imposed by the United States. The use of flammable hydrogen did not deter passengers. In its first year of service, the Hindenburg made 17 round trips across the Atlantic, including 10 visits to the United States and 7 to Brazil. On its final voyage, the Hindenburg made its way from Boston to New York City, flying over Manhattan and then on to Lakehurst. The airship was delayed by thunderstorms, and its arrival in New Jersey put the airship hours behind schedule. It was at Lakehurst, New Jersey, that the Hindenburg's destruction occurred on May 6 around 7 p.m. Various theories have been put forward over the years as to the cause of the disaster, but at 7:25 p.m., 30 to 40 seconds after the ignition of leaking hydrogen, the airship burst into flames and fell to the ground. 13 passengers, 22 crew members, and 1 ground crewman lost their lives. Today, we are used to every moment, including disasters, being recorded. In 1937, this was unheard of. The fame and prestige of the airship ensured that several dozen reporters and sightseers were on hand to cover the landing and subsequent disaster. You could divide media at the time as being divided up between radio, newspapers, and newsreels. The photographers on hand that day captured stunning images. Photographer Sam Shear captured this famous image. On the ground, watching the disaster unfold, he stated that he didn't even have time to get his eye up. He literally shot from the hip. It was over so fast that there was nothing else to do. Charles Hoff and Bill Springfield were among the other photographers there to capture the last moment of the Hindenburg. Three of the 4 newsreel cameramen had their iconic footage broadcast worldwide. Among the 4 newsreel teams covering the arrival of the Hindenburg was Thomas Craven. Working for Paramount, using a telephoto lens, his footage shows a close-up view of the ground crews running away from the burning airship, and the iconic shot of the name Hindenburg being consumed by flames. British Pathé cameraman William Deak filmed the Hindenburg dropping to the ground with its skin and superstructure burning. The Hearst News of the Day cameraman James J. Seeley captured the length of the airship with flames bursting from the nose. His film was the longest. In 2012, new footage came to light. Amateur photographer Harold Skank was on hand to capture the most complete film. His camera was trained on the length of the Hindenburg as it burst into flames. Herbert Morrison's audio recording is perhaps the most famous piece of media from that day. Morrison's emotional eyewitness testimony gave the disaster a feeling that contemporary newsreels lacked.
It's starting to rain again. The rain had slacked up a little bit. The back motors of the ship are just holding it just enough to keep it from... It bursts into flames. Get it started. It's rising. It's rising terrible. Oh, my. Get out of the way, please. It's bursting into flames, and it's falling on the mooring pads and all the folks between it. This is terrible. This is one of the worst catastrophes in the world. Oh, it's like 400 or 500 feet into the sky, and it's a terrific crash, ladies and gentlemen. The smoke and the flames now, and the flame is crashing to the ground, not quite to the mooring mast. All the humanity and all the passengers screaming around it. I can't talk to people. His friends are out there. I can't talk, ladies and gentlemen.
Morrison's recording and the newsreel films were the first on-the-spot recording of a man-made disaster. Morrison used an audio recorder to capture his coverage, and Morrison's audio was often paired with one of the 3 newsreel films that was captured that day. It gave the audience what we would consider a modern view of the disaster. The media coverage of the disaster became a symbol of the tragedy itself. It communicates the disaster's majesty and is instantly recognizable today. When it was released the following day, it stunned the world. In a short time, it effectively halted lighter-than-air commercial travel in the U.S. and other countries due to the horror it provoked. After the disaster, no one wanted to travel by Zeppelin, and its removal from passenger travel opened the market for the burgeoning commercial airline industry. In fact, the Pan Am Yankee Clipper flew across the mid-Atlantic in 1937 and began regular service in 1939. The Hindenburg disaster set a precedent for modern media events, where tragedies and major occurrences were experienced collectively through various forms of media. It demonstrated at the time how radio, film, and photography could work together to create an immersive and emotional experience for the audience. Of course, this approach has since become the standard for covering breaking news anywhere from wars to natural disasters, shaping the way people understand and react to world events. If you made it this far, you really may enjoy our video on Checkpoint Charlie, an epic standoff between the United States and the Soviet Union during the height of the Cold War. You can also check out our Lost History playlist.